your policy choices. It's very important to realize you do not have to be on the California Fair Plan 999 out of 1,000 times. It's if your broker, if you have someone that is saying that that's your only option, your only choice, it's a problem. It's somebody that's not in the fire zones. I use this example all the time with clients. You know, for my agency as an example, I own 3 different agencies. We represent 14 different carriers. You know, I'm constantly working with bringing companies in to California on helping them position. I use the doctor analogy. If you're in a fire zone, if you're required to be on the California Fair Plan, I use a heart doctor example. Okay. If God forbid you had a heart issue, are you going to want to go to your normal internist, or do you want to go to a cardiologist? Exactly. So when you're in that situation, you need to make sure you have someone that is working with you, that understands the fire zones and understands I'm so sorry to say this. Every time if there's a fire, I get clients that can't find their insurance broker with a gun and a search warrant, is the joke I always say, and we're unwinding policies, and I'm looking at even California Fair Plan policies that weren't written correctly, that didn't max out coverages, they didn't max out the things that they can do. It's again the doctor analogy. Do you want to go, if you have a heart issue, do you want to go to your normal doctor internist, or do you want to go to a cardiologist that deals with heart issues?
Right. Yeah.
It's very important to know that's a very important thing to have. So I can't say it enough.
Okay. So if someone lives in a fire zone area, or maybe not necessarily where there's been a recent fire, but close enough, what do you recommend? Is it just a case by case, or is there certain basic things that people should be looking for? And this
absolutely.
is part of their homeowners policy?
It's a normal homeowners policy, or part of the process of doing homeowners insurance. One of the most important things to add on to having your options is to know what your fire score is. Most insurance companies, if not all, base whether they're accepting risks or not accepting risks based on a fire score.
And how would someone find that out?
Actually, I'm sorry to say it's not a public information thing. We do it all the time. We have great realtors that will send us emails and send us questions when there was in the fire zones asking what the fire scores are. Right. So we can then respond and tell you, hey, this is the current fire score. We can look at that very thing. So fire scores are really important. It can help determine what's the next step. Because after that, once you have that fire score, we can then determine what carriers are going to be willing to accept risk. I'm sorry to say right now, almost every major carrier in California is in the process of non-renewing clients. And this is across the state.
They can do that?
Yep, and it's based on fire scores. So they can do it, so as an insurance company, you could have a situation where you're going to take a risk based on a certain score. And now you can change those guidelines as to what you're willing to accept and renew. And as long as it's equal, meaning that it's the same in Sacramento as it is in Los Angeles as it is in San Diego, if you're going to take a certain fire score, if you're going to non-renew based on a fire score, it's the same across the state.
But I don't feel like we're having these same issues. Well, maybe Northern California is a little bit.
It's pretty much across. They did that intentionally. The reason for it is to make it so that it's really to keep insurance carriers away from circling in a whole area and say, we're not going to write in Topanga, or we're not going to write in Malibu. We're just going to zero it out. Right. So when you have companies that are based on fire scores, we do a ton of work up in Santa Barbara, Montecito right now. There's a lot of carriers that are just instilling moratorium from 2 years ago. And we do a ton of work up there with regard to writing policies. I have a couple carriers that are gobbling it up like crazy. It's just really important to understand where everything is with regard to your fire score and know what your options are.
Okay. Yeah. So someone has a current homeowner's policy, and maybe they're like, I don't know if I have very good fire protection, because I know for me, I always think about earthquake. Yeah. I'm like, earthquake. We are going to have an earthquake. I want to make sure I'm covered.
You know what's crazy? For the 20 years that you've been doing this, that was my opinion exactly. I used to look up and go, man, if I was a bank, I'd require earthquake insurance. But more likely in California to have an earthquake than a fire.
Yeah.
Well, obviously over the last 5 years or so, that changed.
Yeah.
So yes, it is very important to be able to review and to know. It's amazing how many policies and how many clients. I have over 10,000 clients and growing. And it's amazing how many clients that when they come to us, they have a policy that's, you know, it's written 10, 15 years ago. No one's reviewed it. It's at 100 and change per square foot, which is impossible to rebuild. I don't care where you are. It just doesn't get rebuilt. And it becomes a really major issue. So, I mean, it's doing the review is a very important part of it.
So if somebody was to say, okay, I need to take a look at my policy and get an opinion and have it evaluated,
Yep.
they could either reach out to you directly. And by the way, everyone, if you haven't already noticed, all of his contact information is below. Or I think sometimes people forget that your agent can help you. And even if your agent is no longer in the business or you are not working with that agent, any realtor can help you with this because we have relationships with people. We have relationships with insurance carriers, insurance companies, insurance reps, just like title reps. So if you have a policy and you're saying, okay, the fires have been getting crazy and they've gotten kind of close to me, but not so close that I've gotten really nervous, but maybe I should take a look, then you're gonna wanna reach out and say, hey, Robert, can you assess my fire portion of my policy? And I don't know my fire rating because really who does?
Exactly. It's one of those things where you really need to make sure you have information and to know what your options are. Like we keep saying over and over again. So it's very important. Just again, I'm sorry I keep going over and over again about it. It's just knowing your options, knowing your fire score, having someone that's in the fire zone areas or that specializes in insurance in high fire zone areas. 3 most important things every consumer that's in those areas needs to know.
And I would almost say that if you live near fires, whether you live in Brentwood, Pacific Palisades, maybe Santa Monica, even by the canyons, in the hills, in Studio City Hills, whether you're further out, if you've just been renewing your policy and just paying it anew every year and you actually haven't talked to your agent in maybe the last 5 or 6 years, maybe you should take a moment, contact me, contact Richard, contact your agent, find out your fire score, go over your policy and make sure you are as covered as you should be. Exactly. And if you question whether your agent's doing that, you need a second opinion, well, here you got somebody.
I'm always around.
Absolutely. Well, I really want to thank you for joining me today to talk about this subject. I mean, it impacts a lot of us here in Southern California lately. People are still talking about Malibu and there's a lot of people still displaced. So
there's a lot of people, I'm sorry to say, every time I turn around, I'm still getting people that are asking my help that weren't even clients before the fires to help unwind. We still do it, and we're just fixing people as best we can.
So fire insurance here in Southern California, your homeowner's insurance policy should cover some type of fire insurance.
It does, automatically.
But you want to make sure you've got enough coverage. And I always say this too, earthquake insurance, that goes without saying. And I have done a video before about earthquake insurance and if you should get it and some of the basics. So that link will also be below.
We write a ton of earthquake to go along with it. The big thing is not just the California Earthquake Authority any longer. There's 3 major carriers that are involved, A-rated, admitted, great companies.
Yeah. So. Things have changed. So if you had hesitation in the past because of the cost of your insurance, don't be, what is the term? Penny foolish.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Don't be penny foolish and cost yourself thousands of dollars on that penny. So really important.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any comments or questions, go ahead and put them below or send a direct email. We're happy to help. And if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, please go ahead and do so and click that bell for updates. And if you liked today's video, found it helpful and informative, go ahead and put a like.
Thank you.